Welcome to Wrestling Talk in the Shop, where we cover all things professional wrestling, from new wrestling to classic wrestling and everything in between. We go to wrestling, we do some wrestling, and everything in the ring. Join us now for Wrestling Talk in the Shop.
Hey guys, this is John with Wrestling Talk in the Shop, and today how far are we, Lindsay?
We're in Sandusky, Texas, which is about 20 minutes from Sherman.
Yeah, about 20 minutes from Sherman. And we're going to go visit the grave of Grizzly Smith. Jake the Snake's father, and Sam Houston's father, and Rockin' Robin, I believe that's her name.
Yeah.
His father.
Just a little cemetery.
Yeah, little cemetery. There it is. Grizzly Smith was known by, he was recognized as Grizzly Smith. He made his wrestling debut in 1958 in Texas, where he also worked in the oil fields. During his time, which he formed a tag team with Luke Brown called the Kentuckians. Together, they gained the NWA Georgia Tag Team Championships. That was the first of many titles he held. And throughout his 23 years in the wrestling ring, he worked with promoters Jack Curtis, Bill Watts, George Colkin. Smith had 4 children, which Jake Roberts, Sam Houston, Rockin' Robin. He also had a daughter who was kidnapped and murdered at the age of 18. When he completely left the world of wrestling, he went to live with his son Michael in Louisiana, where he took a job as a maintenance worker for a local cemetery. 2005, Katrina hit and they lost everything, and I watched some videos about that. And Sam Houston is still wrestling today. Probably the biggest of the bunch was Jake Roberts. I mean, he was very his psychology work was just out of this world, but and Grizzly Smith, I mean, he's not necessarily the most popular guy, and he's got some dark secrets. You can watch all that on Dark Side of the Ring. It's all documented, well documented. I just thought, he was a booker for Bill Watts and Leroy McGurk. He worked for Leroy McGurk in Mid-South, and and he was a booker for Bill Watts and matchmaker. You can go back and watch Mid-South TV, which I watch it quite a bit, and they're always talking about Grizzly Smith. Jake Roberts, I guess Jake Roberts originally wasn't going to go into professional wrestling, but he did it. He started out as a referee, and his father said, well, you're not going to do any good. So, excuse me. So, therefore, he said, well, I'll be bigger than you, which Jake Roberts was bigger than him. I mean, which Grizzly Smith did work for WWF, which is crazy, but he did work, that guy, all the stuff that that people talked about him, and he worked for all these big wrestling companies. But anyway, he did work for WWF, and but he was not as big a star as his son Jake the Snake, or Sam Houston's still wrestling today, and
we saw him a couple months ago.
Yeah, a couple months ago, and you can still see pretty much Jake Roberts on AEW television. Jake Roberts has turned his life around, and hopefully for the better, and he's managing Lance Archer now, and we'll probably see him tonight because we're going to watch wrestling tonight. But anyway, I just thought, he was a big name in professional wrestling. If he did nothing else, he was the father of Sam Houston, Jake Roberts, and Rockin' Robin, which I think she was a WWF Women's Champion for a while. And I don't think that Jake Roberts ever really I know he never held a WWF title or even a WCW title. I'm sure he held some independent titles and whatnot. But, it is what it is. But anyway, here it is. There's Grizzly Smith. Passed away June the 2nd, 2010. Born August 1st, 1932. They said he was a massive man. He was really tall, and professional wrestler. And he started out wrestling. I guess he worked in the oil fields. On the weekend, or not the weekends, because you usually wrestle during the weekends, but he worked part-time oil fields, make extra money. But there's some really old graves in this cemetery. You can take a look. I always enjoy this. I only do them pretty much for primarily pro wrestling. We don't, but if you're ever in the area and want to see it, Nice rainy day here in Texas, but you can see there's a lot of old graves here. I mean, which I'll walk over here and show you. There it is right there, folks. I'll go over here and show you. They're pumping oil over here. You can see that. I don't know if you can see it in the background or not. But I don't know if you can see it. We'll drive around and show it to you. But yeah, there's been lots to talk about with Grizzly Smith and whatever. I heard a video, or Jim Ross said that him and Grizzly Smith didn't really get along. I've seen that. He said that he didn't like Jim Ross because he knew Jim Ross was young, which old people were usually stuck in their ways, you know. And but probably felt threatened by Jim Ross, because that's where Jim Ross got his up and coming he was up and coming in Mid-South. That's where he got his start at. He started out as a referee as well. But you can see I was gonna show them that oil when they're pumping that oil out.
Oh yeah. Pumping away. There's quite a bit of oil.
There it is, Mount Tabor Cemetery. I don't know if, let me see. I'm gonna get out so I can get up close to it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
The historic landmark says Mount Tabor Cemetery. Burial Scarborough and his wife Harriet Melton from Alabama moved to Texas prior to the Civil War in 1866. The Scarboroughs purchased land north of Whitesboro from the state of Texas for their farm, adding an adjoining 160 acres in 1878. Burial identified a large hill on the property as a good site for a community cemetery. On March 13, 1878, Burial formally deeded 8.5 acres of land to cemetery trustees Overton Hodges, C. Walker, Robert Winslow. Tradition holds that the cemetery was given the name Mount Tabor for the site in Israel believed to be the site of the biblical transfiguration of Jesus Christ. There are references of several early graves being marked with stones, which were later removed. The cemetery's first burial with a dated gravestone is that of I.E. Lindsay in 1868. Burial Scarborough died 8 months after deeding the property in 1878 and is buried here along with Harriet and much of their family. Other burials include veterans from World War I, World War II, the Korean, and Vietnam War. Notable features include the curved plots, ornate fencing, and oval-shaped round rock that surrounds the oldest portion of Mount Tabor Cemetery. Grave markers are mostly made of granite, limestone, and marble, and the entrance was constructed by the nearby schoolhouse after the building burned in the early 1900s. Mount Tabor Cemetery has been enlarged through the years by donations of land and money, and is cared for by the Sandusky community, primarily guided by the Scarborough family, and has served its community and surrounding areas for more than 140 years.
There you have it. And I guess we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you watching. We do all things on this channel. If you're watching it, you just come across this video. If you like pro wrestling, we discuss pro wrestling weekly. We go through pro wrestlers' graves and review wrestling figures and whatnot. And anyway, there you have it. Signing off. It's Jonathan from Wrestling Talking the Shop. Like and subscribe. Thanks.